We live. I'm
Good
gonna go ahead
evening.
and
Good
tag
evening.
you. Hey guys. Oh, it popped up quick. Okay. All right. I'm gonna tag you. What's up, y'all? Happy Saturday. Here we go. Okay, I got you tags. Okay, cool. And I'm gonna send this here. Oh, listen, them shares coming. You got yours? It came through.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. Hey guys, welcome to the virtual healing room. Come on in. We'll let some people come in. We just went live. I just tagged you, JL, so you'll see it. Everybody come on in the room. This is about to be good. This conversation is one that I have been anticipating on. So I'm super excited. I don't think I told you, JL, but like this was like the most people that was like, I'm coming, I'm thinking about it, like 100. And I
Yeah.
think it was like 57. I don't like to really get caught up in numbers though. But I think it's something to be
Right.
said that people wanted this conversation. People wanted this conversation. So
It's
I'm
big.
glad we're here. Let's get
I'm
it.
glad we're
So
here.
welcome to the virtual healing room. The topic today is emotionally scarred, as you guys, of course, know. I am your host, Erika Genice, and I have dope conversations with dope people. The purpose of this platform is to inspire and motivate people to improve their relationship with self. We do this by inviting prominent leaders, of course, that that are in the spiritual world, that's in the mental health field, financial fitness, to our live conversations in hopes of bringing closed door conversations to the forefront. Before I introduce our guests, you know y'all got to do a little bit for me. I need y'all to love this video. We need you to share it. Okay, this ain't just for you. There's some other people who kind of want to be here but they not here. They thought about it. Let them know that you in the building on this Saturday. um Share this video, love it. And I am asking that you tag two people. JL, is two enough or should we just say three? What you thinking? How many people should they
I
be tagged?
always take a 3 to 5. 3 to 5. That's not a big deal. Three to
Three to
five
five.
folks.
You tag them in silly stuff anyway sometimes. So like,
Right.
tag your
Right.
people. Tag your people, man. Tag 3 to 5 people. Listen, he just set the bar. I'm changing my number, by the way. We got some hello in the building, JL. Hello, Miss Carol. Hey, Shelly. Welcome to the room, guys. Make sure again that you love this video, you share and you tag 3 to 5 people. Also, if you can head on over to my YouTube channel, if you aren't there already, I will drop the link in there and subscribe to your girl channel, man. Listen, the theme around this channel is free therapy. You're not paying for this. This is free. And so go on over there. We got all types of lives that I've done. This is probably my 19th live. And so go on over there and like and subscribe and hit that button where you can get our alerts. So I'll put that in the chat. And let's get into it. Joining me today, we have Reverend Dr. Jamian Lovett Sr. Dr. Lovett is a kingdom ambassador and a man of God who preaches with a powerful voice, and his passion is to instill kingdom principles that transforms Christians to live a victorious life. Dr. Lovett is a pastor and the founder of the Rock International Church in West Palm Beach, Florida. Coupling his ministry with education, Dr. Lovett holds 3 theological degrees and completed his last postgraduate studies by receiving his Doctor of Theology with a special concentration in Jewish culture. Lastly, but of course, certainly not least, he is a husband, the husband to Shakia Lovett, and together they have 3 kids. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your yes. Thank you for your Saturday. Thank you for your time. I mean that wholeheartedly and genuinely.
Thank you for allowing me to share the platform with you.
Of course. And let's not forget our dope audience members. If you guys can let us know where you're tuning in from, give us your state, give us your city. And if everyone can drop a couple hearts in the chat in support and love of our men. So drop some black hearts in the chat. Let us know that you hear. Let us know you can hear us. Let us know you can feel us. Our energy is about to be crazy. Some people said they tagged and shared. We got some cartwheels. What cartwheels mean? JM? They excited. We got some hearts. West Palm. Oh, your people here. Oh, you got people from West Palm Beach
Oh yeah,
pulling up? Your
I got
people here.
a great
Yeah.
support group.
Yes,
My
yes, you do.
brother and great friend, Pastor Diaz Pierre. He's on here. I see some people from my congregation. They're starting to come in as well. So grateful for the support.
Yeah, they let me tell you something. They were tagging and saying that they coming, they share like yo people fool with you for real. So you have some people that love you and cherish you. And I when I tell you by the amount of love that I was getting from your people, I feel like they was fooling with me because they fool with you, and I'm cool with that. So listen, did you get it? Okay, cool. So we got your churches in the building.
Yeah,
Let's get it.
my
Um,
daughter's church is on. Yeah, we ready to rock.
let's get it. Welcome everybody again. So I like to start with a quote. I like to start with a quote, and I want to get your thoughts about it. The quote is, while culture says manly men are self-confident, self-reliant, self-focused, Jesus says manly men are humble, vulnerable, and focused on the needs of others. What's your thoughts on that quote?
Yeah. So one thing for a man to understand who he is, he has to understand uh, it cannot be defined by a culture. First of all,
Mm,
for a man to understand who he is, he has to go back to the creator. In other words, the creation can't ask the creation, what am I? He has to go back to the maker. He has to go back to the creator. In other words, if I was a Lamborghini, I can't go ask Lexus, how can I fix my motor? I
mm,
have to take Lamborghini back to the dealer or to the maker in order to find out what's going on, to know the ends and the odds about me. And so here it is. Jesus tells you that in order to go up, you have to first go down. And in
yeah,
order to go, when you go down, it means to humble yourself. But the one thing about Jesus is he always talked about putting the necessities or the needs of others before your own.
it's good.
Most of us opposite. We're in a society where it's me first. I'm gonna get me, and if
Yeah,
I get me, whatever's left for whoever else, they can get it. That's an issue though, because that carries over to our personal relationships, our
yeah,
friendships, as well as our intimate relationships as well. That when we begin to think about ourselves rather than others, we leave somebody unhappy. And
mm,
so there's an issue, especially when you're intimate or you have a significant other, when you're always thinking about yourself. Let me eat first. Let me get a nap first. Let me take the shower first. Let me watch the TV first.
yeah,
When you create a relationship where it's me, then what you do is you're basically having a relationship with yourself. And when
mm,
you have a relationship, eventually you'll be by yourself.
yeah,
And so when Jesus says that he who humbles himself, he's talking about first getting rid of pride. And pride keeps us in a really tough spot, right? Pride
yeah,
keeps us in a place where again, we're going to talk about this masculinity today, and the
yeah,
thought of masculinity today. And so pride will keep us in a place where we miss God. Pride was the same thing that got Satan or Lucifer kicked out of heaven. It's one of the things that God says that he hates. And
yeah,
so we have to walk in a spirit of meekness as well as humility. But I do love the quote though.
Yeah, good. Good. I dropped that quote too in our chat. So if anybody wants to reference it later, it's there. How would you define an emotionally scarred man?
Mhm. It's a good one. Well, but if we're gonna break down the two words, first of all, let's be real, right?
Okay.
Emotion deal with emotions and feelings. Those are part of the soul realm of an individual. We're made up of spirit, soul, and body. And when we deal with our emotions, our feelings, that's dealing with the soul realm. And a scar, obviously, is a mark that's left on you or on your body that's actually healed. It's a wound that's been healed.
Yeah.
But when we look at when we're dealing with uh, relationships with people, with men or women, we're talking about people who've been affected by some type of trauma or an event earlier on in their lives that have left
Yeah.
them sometimes in a place of almost being numb
Mm,
or to whatever may be going on pertaining to certain things with feelings and or emotions. And so most of us have been damaged from early childhood trauma.
mm, yeah. I say all the time that even the lives that I've done, right? And I'm sure you've seen some of them. A lot of them are trauma based off of childhood. Like you never just arrive at this person, right? You never just arrive at being emotionally closed off or emotionally damaged. Or I did a live on childhood trauma, and everything stems from your childhood. So it's not shocking that when you talk about a man and being emotionally scarred, the origin of it is really based off of childhood. Have you
Well,
been emotionally scarred? Are you emotionally scarred? Like, and if you have been, or if you are, like, give us some practical like characteristics that someone can see in themselves to be like, oh yeah, that ain't it.
sure, but let me go back to what you were talking about with the childhood stuff. It's
Yeah,
important to know why we act in our childhood, right?
yeah,
The enemy. So obviously, I'm a preacher, so we won't try to
absolutely.
keep it on. Or but when you understand who you are, you'll understand that you carry value. The enemy knows who you are before you know who you are, and
Mm,
if he knows or who you are, he understands that you have an assignment here in the earth realm. If he can disrupt that or
mm,
delay that, then he does that through childhood trauma. Why? Because we understand trauma in the childhood will produce drama in your adulthood. Hear me when
mm,
I say a
that's
lot of
good.
times when we don't heal from our childhood trauma, it carries over to our adulthood and our relationships in our adulthood, and we bring baggage and or trauma with us because of the drama we bring because of the trauma we went through. And so when we don't take the time to heal, or we don't take the time to be healed, or to understand what's really going on with me, then
Yes.
we affect, right? A lot of people, there's a saying in leadership about leading while you bleed, but you have to understand, if you keep bleeding on people, you're going to bleed out and eventually die. But
Yeah.
so we have to take time and patch ourselves up and get healed so that we can not affect our significant others, as well as passing on the same trauma generationally.
Mm,
I
that's
don't
deep.
know. I know thing about me being emotionally scarred. It's a good question because obviously, most men are, right. Most men are,
Yeah.
and so one of my early childhood traumas was not having my mother with me. All right, my
Mm,
mother was my mom was around, but my grandmother raised me, and so
yeah.
that affected me long term. But even worse, right? I had an absent father, so there
Yeah.
was no male figure who was stable in my life other than my grandfather, who came from the outside. He didn't even live in the home with us, right?
Yeah.
So affected me as I grew, because growing up, you would see other kids who had their mom, who had their fathers. I can remember, as I started in sports early on, I can appreciate it now that it was my grandma who was on the side of the house tossing the t-ball with me or baseball with me, and throwing a football and playing catch with me, not a male figure, right? And
Yeah.
so often we have to understand though, and I know we'll probably get into it. The enemy blatantly tries to disrupt or take the male figure out of the family, because it's the male figure that society and the world and the family runs on. And
Talk to
we'll talk
him.
about.
Oh, talk to him. Oh my God, that's so good. Listen, when I was doing the research on this, and this quote that I'm gonna say really stems back to childhood, and I think that you and I sent it to you and let me know. It's from Tony Robbins, who is the nation's, or at least named the nation's top life and business strategist.
Mhm.
He says, a man doesn't just appear. You have to heal the little boy, then a man can appear. Is that kind of what you're saying?
That's absolutely what I'm
Yeah,
saying, because in biblically speaking, when I go back to the Bible, right, the enemy tried to take Moses out in his infancy. He tried to kill Jesus right before, as soon as he was born, right, through
yeah,
King Herod, the spirit, right. But why? Because he understands that if I can get them in their childhood, right, if I can get them in the childhood, I can cut the assignment off. And so a
yeah,
lot of times we grow all the pain, the trauma, and all the different events that we've gone through, and we don't understand that that shapes us to be who we are as we get into adulthood.
yeah.
Oftentimes, we think it's okay because nobody told us it's wrong, but we
Mm,
think it's okay mainly because we haven't sat and talked about it, but we've internalized everything that we've been through, and oftentimes we're ashamed to share it with other people.
yeah. So here's my question. Somebody like you who didn't grow up with the dad figure kind of being in the house, right? How can you and apparently you've learned, of course, to be a man. Like, you're here, you're talking to us. I watched your content. I think you're absolutely amazing, and I mean that. But how
Thank
can
you.
you learn to become a man if you don't have like any positive male role models in your life?
Ah, see, that's the difficult part. I
Mm,
know a quote out there that says it takes a father to tell you that you're a man, and
mm,
oftentimes we go throughout life trying to become a man without the blueprint.
yeah,
My thing is, we try to build on something else or try to reinvent the wheel when it's already laid out for us. In other
talk to him.
words, if
Mm,
yes, we need a man, right? We got to get rid of this myth about men connecting with other men, right?
yeah,
We got to get rid of it because we think that it's a feminine thing for a man to be close to another man. That's a myth, though, right?
yes,
But we don't understand that we strengthen one another. We can pour into one another. I got a small circle, but
yeah,
that circle be 100% real with them about some of the most personal, intimate things in my life. And when I feel like, you know what I mean, nobody don't hear me, I know there's a few guys, some may be on this live right. As a matter of fact, I know one is on the live tonight,
yeah.
that I can just to and pour out, and him vice versa, right? But it's toxic masculinity to think
Ooh,
that I lean on another man with my personal issues or to be vulnerable in that area. That's toxic masculinity, and we have to get rid of that. We have to debunk that myth immediately. A man needs another man, not necessarily for validation, but we make it easier for our young men, for the next generation. I mean, let's be real. I know
okay.
I'm all over, but
I love it.
if you society. And as I said before, society as the man goes, so does society and the world. I want you to think about something. Look at the world right now. It's in disarray. It's in disarray because men aren't in their rightful place. And I'm not just talking about in America. We're talking about in Europe. We're talking about everywhere. Wherever, China, Russia, men are not in their place. Hence, the world is in chaos,
Yeah.
because we understand why God created the man, and what the man was created for. We can understand why society is in disarray. And what I mean by that is, when God created man, right? That means he took or he made man. He took man and he made him out of the dust of the ground, right?
Yep.
Literally one human that he took out of the dirt. From there, though, he took the woman out of the side. Understanding why God took him from the dirt It was because God designed the man to be the foundation of the family,
So
right?
good.
He took the woman not hurt because she wasn't the foundation, but
Yeah.
from the side because she was meant to rest on and to get support from the man. When we
Mm.
understand that, now we understand why this world is going crazy right now, because the foundation, there's a crack in our foundation. There's a crack in the subculture of the lives of men right now, which
Yeah.
means that shaky ground that we're dealing with. There's a shaky ground. Our foundations are cracked. Our
It's
foundations are cracked. Houses are leaning.
yeah. That's so good. They are blowing up the chat. You understand me? They are truth. Amen. The world will try to give you a blueprint. Checking in from Arizona. Hi. This is so good. Let's talk about rap a little bit.
Yeah.
So, Little Baby has this song, and it's called Emotionally Scarred. It was literally our song for this live. I like the song, not for the content, but it's a banger in the gym. So I put it as the song for our live when I was kind of like just posting it or whatever. And then Jay-Z has a song, which I already know you know, which is Song Cry. And it was
Mhm,
interesting
mhm.
because it was like the parallels, and Little Baby and Jay-Z are two different ages, right? But when you
Yep.
think about both of those songs, and if you've ever heard of, or anybody ever heard of it in this chat and in this live, the theme of it is to suppress your emotions and to not cry. You know, Jay-Z, I can see him coming down, whatever, but I gotta let the song cry. I can't see him coming down my eyes, but I gotta let this song cry. So it's this narrative of I can't be emotional, I can't cry. The baby had so many different lyrics in there that I was like, oh, listen, that he was not feeling. He wrote a letter, he didn't want to cry, all this type of stuff. So my question to you is, um, does rap, has rap assisted with the entrapment of men and their lack of emotions?
I can say it can contribute, but it contributes to those who are weak minded.
Mm,
And I say that based on, we have to understand these guys are expressing themselves through their music, but we
yeah,
also understand that most of us, we vibe on our music, we get down to our music, our story. We when somebody ministers to us through song, basically, oh, I can relate to that. I can relate to that, and
yeah,
a lot of people relate to. A lot of people relate to Hove, right? We
yeah.
understand that these guys something they're letting people know, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, look, baby said I got a letter in the mail and I tore it up and flushed it down the toilet, basically, is what he says in the opening
Trying to
line.
forget you,
But
trying to forget you.
right, so
Yeah.
so here's what I'm saying. um for the new generation, it probably does influence, right? But there's some of us who came up in a time, with Tupac, with Biggie.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
i'm a,
Yeah.
I'm Tupac all day, right? but
Yeah.
but they really had a message. But here's the thing. We also understood that we couldn't live our lives through the person who was singing the song or rapping the song.
Mm.
And if I connect myself to that guy, right?
Yeah.
Hence, we had Ice T back in the days. They shut down one of his records, Body Count, because people thought that people were going out and shooting the police, and we know about NWA and how they were trying to shut their stuff down. It's because some people who were influenced by this, they were really weak minded. But
Yeah.
you want to, you are dealing with people who can think for themselves. Here's the problem. We've allowed society today to say that if you're not celebrity, you can't influence me. If they're not an
Mm.
influencer, he ain't got 30,000, 50,000 followers on social.
Yeah.
If I'm on TV, man, your voice don't mean anything. I had to check my kid one day and let her know, man, you never let an outside voice be stronger than the voice here in the house. And
That's
this is the
good.
issue, right? Our TVs, our iPads, our iPhones, and for the Droid people, they're raising our children today. And it's everything through people who they think are famous and popular. But we have to
Yeah.
bring the narrative back. Our heroes were moms and dads right in the home. And if we can do that, I don't believe that rap changes the culture, or we live out our lives through the song. How about that?
That's actually really good because now that you're saying that, like even when I was coming up, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 39, and like although we had rap, we had Tupac and Biggie, which I loved. I just don't remember relating to them in a sense of like negative and I want to go kill somebody and I want to go and commit suicide. Like R&B is still probably my best genre. Like I came up on like love and like fairy tale, which could be its own trauma in itself, but I'll take that other than the messaging today, which is so much of drugs, um like suppressing your emotions, uh like not really relating to men and women like on a positive level. Like everything just seems so negative. Like I have a 6, she's 6, oh my god, I keep saying she 5, she turned 6 in I'm sorry, in December, so I'm still like trying to catch up with the age, and she has screen time. Like I'm dead serious, like you can only be on your iPad for 30 minutes. I have all sort of parental controls. And, you know, I want her to try to experience life, right? Like I grew up in Milwaukee. So I grew up in the hood. Her dad's from Tyler, Texas. He grew up in the hood. And she growing up in Frisco, Texas. Like her time is different. And I think
Yeah.
it's very important. And thank you for highlighting that the media will raise your kids if you don't. If you allow them
Yeah.
to see all type of foolishness, then they'll start looking to that and the iPad and YouTube, and the fact that she even knows what YouTube is I'm like, what in the world? So like it's very important, and thank you for saying that. As far as rap, like we can like it could be a banger, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to relate to it.
No, 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 absolutely not. And again, as time has gone on and we are in a new era, the
Yeah.
message has changed. You know what I'm saying? From rap,
Yeah.
the message. As I'm looking at modern day rap, I'm looking at Kendrick Lamar still has a message. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
I love
But
him.
there's
Yeah.
a message. What are you doing to positively impact the world? And I'm not saying other rappers don't, but it's not the majority, if I can be real with you. And so we
Yeah.
have to be very, very careful when it comes down to allowing the media and technology, right, to raise our children. And we have to be careful also is that, we don't allow this stuff to because evidently you have to know that there's always something hidden. There's always a hidden agenda, and
Yeah.
with this stuff, we don't understand that there's an agenda there to get our children so far away from home. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, uh, and this is what they did in the earlier years. This is why they threw jobs out to the women. Women, I'm not hear me, hear me, hear me, hear me, hear me. The reason that they threw jobs out to the women was to get the women out of the house instead of raising the children. The women's voice was prevalent in the child's life. But once we started sending them to the schoolhouse and to other things, now when voice became more prevalent in the life of the kids. Now, hence, they go to the schools. Look how the education is changing. We have a governor here in Florida who wants to eliminate all of Black history teaching at any cost, right? And so we allow our government and society to tell us how we're going to teach and educate our children. And it's happening right here on this thing called iPad technology, iPhone, whatever it
Yeah.
is that you look at, whether it's you, Snapchat, Who Chat, whatever you want to call it, Twitter, you know what I mean? That stuff is strongly influencing our
Yeah.
children.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's good. What advice would you give parents then, as far as like, are you okay with your kids listening to rap? I know you're a pastor, but you still from the hood. So like you reference Tupac and Kendrick. Like we like good music, but like, is there a balance in that, you think?
It has there has to be a balance, and I let
Okay.
people know all the time because I ask people all the time, what does a pastor look like? What is being saved? Is it because I listen to secular music I can't be saved, or does
Yeah,
it
that's so
influence
good.
my influence my spiritual walk or my relationship with God, how then can you tell me I'm not saved if I listen to secular? And the thing is, because I'm a pastor and I do come out of the hood, I got to listen to the secular so I can know how to influence the next generation.
That's
I got
so
to hear
good.
what they're I got to hear what they're hearing so that I can relate to what it is that they are going through or what they're listening to, so that I can be able to combat that or go along with that according to the word, right? And that's the thing for me. I don't necessarily eliminate my kids from listening to secular,
Okay.
but now and then I do get on them. You know what I mean? I'm like, what's that trash you listening to? Because that's trash.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
youngest, one thing about it though, my oldest girl, she's a 90s R&B. And it's crazy, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
90s R&B, but my youngest girl, she's today. I mean, some of these dudes she listened to, I'm like, who is that? I'm like, I'm really getting old now, 43. But I'm like, I don't know who that is, and I gotta go look it up. Who is this? What is this cat talking about? But I do have to make sure that what's filtering through her system is not taking her over. And if I
That's
see her
good.
getting too far out, I pull her back in. I think the advice is just what you said, having parental control. And a
Yeah.
lot of times when we these pads over to our children and these phones to keep them busy so that we can do other things, we are missing it. We're missing the mark when we let this stuff raise our children, because you don't know what they're listening to, you don't know what they're
Yeah.
looking at, you don't know, you don't go to their Google search, right?
Yeah.
If you don't go searching,
That's
right,
so
you're in
good.
trouble.
Yeah.
But think, because they're your kids, that they won't be mischievous and they ain't thinking about the things that you thought about when you were their age. That's the problem that we make as adults right now, is that
Yeah.
we think, oh, they're innocent. No, none of these kids are innocent. We weren't innocent.
No. No. Yeah.
We have to be real. We have to be
Yeah.
real.
That's good. I don't want to skip past this question. So I have to go back a little bit because this is one of the questions that came up with a lot of single mothers. And I want you to try to dissect it and try to address it as best as you can. You hear the quote, right? A woman can't raise a man. However, the latest statistics says that 80% of single parent families are headed by single mothers. What empowering advice, tools, or resources do you feel like you can give mothers in order to raise kings?
Woo. Now, um, I do believe that a woman can raise a young man, right?
Okay,
Raise. There's a
raise.
difference with raising and teaching a boy how to be a man. There's a big difference.
Oh, oh, tell me more.
There's some things that a woman can't teach a man. There's
Okay.
some things that a woman can't identify as a man. It takes a man to see certain things that only a man can see. Vice versa, there's some things in a sister that I can't identify. I
Yeah,
might be able to my daughter, but I can't teach her how to be a woman.
yeah,
And so if it is a single woman and you're not trying to impose your significant other, whether it's not that child's father, on that child, then I would strongly suggest that you get somebody that you really trust
that's
to
good.
be able to bring along to mentor
Yeah,
this young man, especially in his teenage years, because when he starts to get there, he's really going to start to wonder, and he's getting closer to adulthood, and he's going to see things, he's going to hear things, and he's going to start wondering about things. Not only that, he's going to start wondering, where is my daddy? Why
yes,
is my daddy not come on? And there's some things that only a man can heal in a man.
yeah,
There's some things that sister can heal in a sister that a brother cannot. So my advice would be, find that young man a mentor early,
yeah,
somebody that can. It doesn't necessarily have to be your significant other, but hey, one of the things that I think that we've gotten away from, that COVID has done, is we went away from our community leaders. We went away from the community church. And I'm not saying
yeah,
that because I'm the how I've seen society evolve, that when we were kids, you couldn't say nothing wrong about the church. It was some people in the church that made you mad, but it was nothing wrong that you would say about the church. We as a people knew every Sunday you were going to the church house, right? And if you miss this week, you're going next week, right? But we've now come to this place that we have technology, and we say, well, I go to church on the phone, or I don't go to
yeah,
church, Church is all about money, and we get down to stuff like that. But we have to remember the church has always been a safe house for Black people, always. And
Yeah.
we have to start at again, rather than running away from it, because time ain't winding out, time is winding up. And we have to
Yeah.
make sure that we're secure in knowing where we'll end up when it's all said and done.
That's good. Like Pastor Pierre said, I was going to say the same thing as far as the mentorship. I didn't want to speak, of course. I'm raising a daughter and her dad is super present. But mentorship, mentorship, mentorship. And the interesting part is, like, even I'm, of course, super present in my daughter's life, but I have mentors, a lot of them, like women that I look to for like marriage advice, and like that seems to be healthy, and women that may be in the field that I'm in. And so I think it's important that we start introducing mentorship to our kids early, early,
Mhm.
early, early.
Yeah.
Like the uncles that are actually like doing well, then like that I can inspire to be, in the event that my dad isn't here anymore, in the event that I'm not here anymore, my daughter can go to some of my closest friends, some of my people from corporate who I've like snatched. Like, I am the person, when I go to corporate, I'm looking for a Black woman in leadership. One of my closest friends now was a VP over a department, and I sent her a message, can you be my mentor? And she was like, absolutely. And then she became my mentor in life. And so I think it's so important that we start incorporating. And I think, like you said, with COVID and kind of getting away from the interactions of people, you need good people in your kids' life aside from you that can pour into them in a positive way. So thank you for outlining that. Mentorship is key. I
100%.
keep hearing that. I keep hearing that mentorship is everything.
Yeah,
Do you
it's
guys
key. It's
provide
found.
mentorship in the church? Like, how would that work? Like, if I wanted a mentor in the church, is that something that you guys offer? Does churches offer that? Like, what would that look like?
A dynamic church does. And so, yeah, we do.
Good.
The thing about what I've come to discover, especially with the younger generation, is they don't want it. But the only reason they
Really?
don't want it is not endorsed at home. And if it's not endorsed in the home, how then would I know what that looks like outside of the house? And so I would strongly suggest that you start educating your kid in the house that, hey, man, this guy, this woman is a good person and they can help you in some things, in some areas. We have to be able to admit we don't know everything, right?
That's it. That's the key.
And right, we have to understand that if you ain't never been in a place, you ain't going to be able to take nobody there.
That's
And
so
so you
good.
have to find in the place that you're striving to be and ask them, teach me how to get there. How did you
That's so
do it?
good.
And guess what? They can give you a blueprint and you can begin to work with that the way that's going to be best for you.
That's so good. My daughter is she's in a class of like 25 people. She's the only Black. And
Mm.
she was having some challenges, right? So academically, she's soaring, but personality and being able to connect with other kids is different. Like, they don't look like her, or her cousins look like her. And so I think that it's just been a gap, right? In her figuring out, how do I interact with different people? They'll label it as challenging. We're like, how does this look like, you just interacting with different people? And I was able to call my cousin, who is a principal. She's a Black principal. And she was able to give me advice and to say, oh, this is how you should move. When you go into a meeting with them, these are the questions that you should ask, right? And so I think that's the mentorship, where I have someone who, I don't have all the tools as a mom.
Mhm,
Like, some
mhm.
days I think I'm killing it. Other days I'm like, I don't want to no more. Like, this is too hard. Parenting is hard. And I think a lot of it is because we just want to get it right. I don't want to be my parents. Like, y'all did good, but I want to do better. That's a
Right.
lot. That's a lot to ask on
Mhm.
one person. So if you have mentors and people that you can pull from in that village, then it makes things so much smoother. I don't have to have all the answers. And I think it's the same to say for a young Black boy and a mother that's raising a young, you don't have to have all the answers. Just have people like JL that you can go to, and look into your community where you can pull from. other people experiences. Parenting is definitely
I've been,
hard.
I've
Come
been,
on, sis, say something. Because listen, it's
I've been where your
ghetto.
daughter is though. I've been where your daughter is, right? Even though I come from the hood, my mother and my grandmother sent me to a private school, and it was predominantly white, right? So I've been, one or two blacks in a predominantly white class,
Oh,
and
she's
trying
there.
to navigate. However, at the same time, because I didn't have the money that they had, or my family didn't have the money that they had, I was just trying to make it, you know what I mean, or get by. So where I thrived at was also my education, but
Yeah,
also my athleticism, right? And so at the end of the day, you know, it's not an easy territory to navigate through,
oh Lord.
but as you keep us strong at home, that other stuff she won't be able to, she'll soar above all of that. And not only that, she'll find that her white counterparts start to like her a whole lot more, simply
Yeah,
because it was one thing that out is in her generation, color is still there, but the barrier is not what it was when we were coming up with the black and white, right? These
yeah.
kids kind of don't care a whole lot more interracial relationships and different things of that nature now, and so they'll navigate to it if she continues to be who she is altogether.
Yes, yes, yes. It's interesting because
And
her and
I got three boys. She definitely doing the doggone thing.
yeah, and listen, her and her dad and I we are not together, but we have such a great relationship, and that matters. I'm gonna do a whole live on co-parenting with the therapist, and like that's a whole different conversation. But it's so important that they see.
Absolutely.
When we walked into that room, it was like they probably thought him and I were together because we called. I talked to my cousin. I called him. Like, how should we go into this meeting together and let them know that we hear your concerns, but we also advocate for her and we're here
Absolutely.
together. And so it ended up being good. So it's
Powerful.
funny because my mentor that I was talking about, my cousin, she's on here now. She said village is the key. She's the person I called, who's a principal who was able to help me. So
Yeah.
let's talk about. I'm scared of this question because I hope it's not bad. I want to have hope for men, but like, are there certain challenges, traumas that every man is going to experience at some point in their life?
Most men, they may not all be the same, but every man will experience some type of trauma.
Okay.
And I say wholeheartedly because man is the progenitor of society, and there
Yeah.
is a blatant attack eliminating the man. I love my homosexual community, and it's all good. But if we off having babies, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When we yes we can adopt, but if there is a cutoff on the progenitor of society, which is an attack on his mind, an attack in his life, we begin to say, okay, this is a better way to steer this guy away from his earthly assignment, so to speak. So
Yeah.
yeah, some guys will go through emotional pain of abandonment. Some guys will go through betrayal.
Mm.
Some guys through mistreatment from parents or others. There's always going to be some type of trauma. Not just men, but women will always experience
Hmm.
at some point in your life. The thing about it is, we have to be strong enough to absorb what it is that we're going through and to get strength to be able to go on. A lot of times in our early childhood, we didn't understand that the attack was to stop me from going on. And we begin to play out those childhood traumas over and over and over, or we self medicate, or we build walls around ourselves so that other people can't get in. But when we do that, we don't understand that we're just living out what the enemy wanted to do, anyways, which is to stop you from moving forward.
Mm.
Whether it's in a relationship, whether it's being a major impact on society, whatever it may be. But every man is going to endure some type of trauma at some point in his life.
Wow. Sounds like us women too. I mean, it's not the women's show, but we will experience something. And I think that's to go without being said is everyone's gonna go through some trials. but they're gonna go through
Yeah.
some tribulations, and it's just part of the journey. Um, I've heard it said that in a relationship, romantic relationship, that men need to show up as a lion and they need to show up as a lamb. Why is it that it appears, I'm just saying, it appears that men are so hard in romantic relationships and expressing their feelings and being vulnerable and like all of the things that women aren't sometimes. I think we're very emotional, probably overly emotional at times, and we appear to be vulnerable. But why is it so hard or seemingly hard for guys to show up in a relationship guarded and unable to cry and connect at times on an intimate level?
Uh, you heard that history repeats itself.
Mm,
Um, but there's also a scripture that says there's nothing new in under the sun. So we have to go back to the root or the history of society, right?
yeah,
Man was built biologically to be a provider, physically, right? Woman, her biology it was meant to carry and to nurture. So
yeah,
when relation in the early days, now we're not talking about 2021, we're not talking
yeah.
about 2020. The times have changed, but relationships of old were established based on survival and security, right?
Mm,
The sister, the brother for security,
yeah,
and survival, right? And what the brother looked to her for was really to come home to a good meal, to have sex, and to make sure that she was taking care of his children. Understand, he didn't have time because he spent most of his day out searching for food or providing for his family, and because he was gone for most of the day, he was admonished, number one, for putting his life on the line, because as he would go out, he could get sick or he could get attacked, he could get killed by an animal. And so the wife knew that if he ever came home and he was bleeding or whatever else, she knew that he just barely made it by because he put his life on the line every day. In other words, he knew or she knew that as he was out hunting all day and providing for his family, all he wanted to come home to do, and I got to keep it real, he wanted to eat, have sex, and go to sleep.
yeah.
He
Talk to him.
understood that she took care of the house. She cooked, she took care of the children, and as long as his children were okay, he was good. And so understand, if he would get home late at night, there was no time for romance. It was no time to sit up there and finesse you and to make sure that I have out a bottle of champagne and I got candles all around the room. He didn't have time to be emotional.
That's so
He
good.
was minded. He was provide for my family, get some sex, provide for my family. That's what early relationships were built on:
Yeah,
security and survival. And that has been the DNA and the makeup of a man ever since. The
that's so good.
problem is that as we've come into today's society, roles have changed. And if a
Yeah,
man plays his identity based on his role, then he'll miss everything. He'll miss out and miss his manhood because he's placed his identity on a role. Well, we understand in 21st century, roles have changed. Sisters can provide for themselves. Sisters, hey, look, sometimes they don't just bring home the bacon, they bring home the pig. And so here's the thing now. Brothers who have based their identity on that role of just providing, he don't know how to interact with a sister like that. And so his lion side is there, and he may not have a lamb side. And so when he comes to the table and she says, well, what do you have to bring to the table? Well, I can provide. And she like, I can do that.
I can do
You
that
understand?
too. Yeah,
Do that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
What else you gonna bring to the table? I need more than just a provider. So that's where the lamb side comes in at. But that has to come with understanding first the DNA and the makeup or the purpose of a woman as well as himself. His
yeah.
purpose was not provide. That's a role, and our identity is not caught up in a role. And
That's
so
so
that's my
good.
my skill. It all goes back to history, and that's why the lack of emotion is in most men, because from the beginning of time we've just been built to go out to provide, but we understand that that was a role and that was not our sole purpose.
Woo! Let me log off now. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good night. Like, wow. That makes sense, though. That makes sense. All this,
Oh yeah.
the extra stuff. Now, this is kind of new. This is new for a man. This is good. Oh, I don't know. That just blessed my spirit. Where y'all at? Did it bless you? Because I'm over here like, listen, it gives me such a level of compassion and understanding now that it's not because I just want to hate women. It's just I'm not conditioned for that. Like my
Not
conditioning
conditioned.
is to provide and to protect. That's good. Well, I mean, I was gonna ask if the women had anything to do with this. Yeah, I was trying to put some blame on that. I'm gonna ask the question, but it looked like women, we safe. Okay, we ain't got nothing to
Yeah.
do with they jacked upness and they lack of emotion. It's all on them. But I'm gonna ask this for the
It's
sake of.
not on y'all. It's not. It's not. It was about makeup, but we were also built. Understand that when God made all of us, both male and female, man and woman, he built us both to both give and receive love. It
Yeah,
was the part that has to kick in though.
yeah. What can women do to support men in their expressions of love and vulnerability and emotions? Even when I was studying for this live, and I'm not this type of person, but I hear like sometimes women, like if a man cry, they feel like you being less than a man. And like I think it's beautiful. I mean, I would rather see you cry in an instance where it makes sense, um than to not cry. So, like, how can we support our men in giving them the space and the okay to be vulnerable and to be loved and to be received?
It first starts with where you say that she doesn't jump out there and make him feel less than what a man. If she ever makes him feel like him being vulnerable is not a man thing, then
Yeah,
he's gonna shut up, right? You have to leave that balance of what you want, which is you want to see some emotion from him, and I can attest I'm not the easiest guy to show emotion
yeah,
because of the things that I as a child all the way up to now. So I'm almost conditioned to be militant. I'm very as a matter of fact, right? So
yeah,
this sharing feelings is a new thing for me, but I
yeah,
understand that as I get a little bit older and I'm not alone, that I've shared my life with another individual, that she requires certain things from me, and that's not to always be a macho man, right?
yeah.
She to show a softer side. That's that lamb side
That's
that we
that
were
lamb
talking about.
part. Yeah,
That's lamb side. And so for some of us though, it's work, and as we're working to it, we don't want to be mocked about working to it.
that's
And
good.
what we understand is we may show it different than what you're used to showing it. We got to remember we're two different. You're female and we're male, right?
Yeah,
And so different avenues, right? You guys are emotional. You guys a lot of times will be impulsive on different things. You know,
yeah,
you'll let the world know how you feel right off the top. Whereas men are a little bit more methodical, and they're gonna think about, am I gonna really say that? Yeah, you
yeah,
understand what I'm saying? Am I really
yeah,
that out? And if we ever get the notion that it's not gonna be received or we're gonna be mocked about it, you'll never get it again. Or it's gonna be very hard to pry it out of us. So we need you to
yeah,
be understanding of who, and that it's already not an easy thing for us to share. We
yeah,
need you to meet us in the middle of that road and comfort us through that particular part so that we'll continue to be able to share and be that person for you when you need it.
yeah. Ladies, you heard. I thought we was off the hook. We not. We got our part to play too. And it's leaving space for those emotions. That's beautiful. And I think I even took something away from that. Like it's the space. Give them space. Give them time. And It's not. It doesn't look like how we would display emotions. And so being able to catch that, and then I think it's conversation too. Like how would you like for this space to look like for you? Like, what does that look like? And I don't know if people are really having those conversations romantically. I would say I probably have never. I mean, been in a relationship where I'm like, I want to leave space for your feelings. What does that look like for you? I think if you ask a man that, they would give you an answer. But I don't know if
Mm,
we've ever asked that. So I think it's an important question. It's something I would ask going forward.
100%.
Yeah. So let's talk about healing. Let's talk about steps of how can we get men, or how would you envision men going forward and healing and being able to have conversations like this and being able to tell their person, I'm sad today. This made me feel a certain type of way. Like, what are the steps for a man to get there to where he feels like he can explain himself and to be open and to cry? Like, what does that look like?
It looks like baby steps,
Mm,
because if he tries to go take a big leap, there
yeah,
may be some mistake in between where he doesn't know how to control what it is that he's trying to convey. And if he doesn't know how to control what he's convey, it can come out the wrong way, and almost it may sound abrasive at the time, where you guys know your sister. So it's not about what I say, it's how I say it,
yeah,
right? You
yeah,
be able to receive what I'm saying to you. And so if I'm a little bit bold, if I'm a little bit abrasive, sometimes you hear me, but you ain't listening to me. So
yeah.
it's baby steps. One, I have to start off with baby steps. But two, the brother has to understand that he has to be patient with himself.
That's good.
Three, he at least try. If he, my brother on here, Pastor Pierre, just said it the other day. Any shot that you don't take is a shot that's missed. And
Yeah,
so if you don't shoot your shot in trying to open up to heal from the trauma and the events that you've gone through to try to take you out, then guess what? You're going to be in the same state, the same condition, if not worse.
yeah.
Because watch, any wound that's not cleaned out and healed, it can become infected. And
Mm.
anything that's infected can eventually kill you. And so we have to take baby steps to get out there and to shoot our shot and taking that place and trying to heal.
Oh, that's good. Are you a fan of therapy? Have you been to therapy? Are you an advocate of it? What's your thoughts on therapy and men?
I think you find this quite funny. I live in a house with a therapist. My
Really?
wife is a
Oh, I didn't know
absolutely,
that. So,
absolutely,
so I know
absolutely.
she's an advocate for it. What's your thoughts? Are you okay with therapy?
Yeah, at first I used to tell her, man, stop trying to use me as a test rat. But at the end of the I understand that yes, I'm 100% for people going to therapy, especially people of color. We've
Yes,
demonized sitting down and talking and expressing ourselves to other people, but
yes,
it is a powerful thing when you can sit down and unload some of the things that you've been carrying for years and years and years, because it doesn't get any lighter when you keep it in.
that's it.
It gets heavier as the years progress. And so I'm a major advocate of sitting down on somebody's couch and talking. I know that the old school church used to be counter, against that. But I do
Yeah,
believe in counseling as
yeah,
well as out. I believe in both of them. Let me say that.
yeah, yeah. That's good. I go to therapy every month. Like, I'm booked up for the rest of the year. And what I want people to understand with therapy is not every session is heavy. I think when you think of therapy, it's like, oh, I'm about to be crying. I got to tell. Like, once you get past that, now me and my therapist, last session, we were talking about like my daughter and ways to like parent better. And then we were talking
Mhm.
about co-parenting. And then we were talking like all types of stuff in business and like having a balance between that and corporate. So not everything is always heavy. So I'm a major fan of therapy.
It's a,
JL,
it's
listen
it's a,
time. No, go ahead. Sorry.
it's a necessity. That's all I wanted to say. It's a necessity, and you'll find out, and I think as well that
Yeah.
that can help you unpack some things that you didn't even know were there.
Listen, those triggers, it's the I those triggers is always deep. There's
Yeah.
always a reason.
Oh yeah.
So the time has come. I'm sad. I don't want to go, but we have to. I got to give you back to your wife and your family. Before we go, tell me one thing that you absolutely love about yourself. And I want the audience to, you already know, if you've been on this platform, you already know I'm going to tell y'all to start throwing them in the chat. What is one thing that you absolutely like? Can't nobody do it like JL. This is what I love. Like, what would that one thing be? I want to know.
Oh man, how you put me on the spot like that?
I want to know.
I like my authenticity. I'm very authentic. I am who I am without a shadow of a doubt, and I'm not trying to be anybody else. I know how to stay in my lane and run my race. That's what I like about me.
Good. Where can people find you?
Facebook, Jamian Lovett. You can find my son. He's the football player. I'm the guy in the suit. Instagram, I am J Lovett. And yeah, that's basically where I'm at. I need to get on the other stuff, the TikTok. I'm a little bit behind.
Oh, I
I need
think
to
you
get
would
on
do dynamic on like your clips that I've seen, magical. Like your 1 minute of you just going off. Oh yeah, it's amazing. You definitely need to be on
I,
TikTok.
I need to do it. I'm growing to it. I'm growing to it.
Yeah. How can we support Rock International Church? Like if we want to give, what does that look like?
Let me see. I think somebody's on here. Whether one of our partners of the church, if y'all are on here, if you could pin our PayPal or whatever it is, we have PayPal.
Okay.
You cash app us at the Rock International Church, or you can GiveLify. There's an app called GiveLify. You could go through GiveLify as well. It's the Rock International Church.
Okay.
That's how you can financially from afar. Hey, and everybody else that's on here, do us all a favor. Share this thing to any group that you're in. Share this on your page 2 times and get the word out. I promise the playback is going to be phenomenal as well for the people who missed it.
Yeah.
But prayerfully, the blessing to all who were attending.
Yeah. Okay. Pray us out and then we gone.
All right, gracious Father, in the name of Jesus, our Father, our God, we thank you for this time. We thank you for this space to be able to share. We thank you for the people that were present on today, and we thank you for the people who will hear this message. God, we ask that you would begin to remove blockades and barriers that will keep men from growing to be who it is that you've destined them to be. We call every man into his purpose. We speak power over his life. And God, we ask that you would give him provision so that he's not suffering in his walk. Father, we ask that every person that's on this space right here, right now, we decree and declare over their lives that they're in the right place at the right time because their steps are ordered of the Lord. And as they go forth, we release supernatural favor over their lives. That favor would surround them like a shield. And God, more than anything, we declare that healing is our portion, healing emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And it is in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Replay. I'll drop the information in here. Thank you for your time, JL. For real, I appreciate it. This will not be our last meeting. Let's make that real clear. Thank you for everything. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your knowledge. And thank you, everybody else, for coming in on a Saturday. Y'all pulled up when y'all can be anywhere. So thank you. Let everybody see y'all.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Bye.